So I had this student once, they were a bit older, and they had taken guitar previously. They were playing classical music, but they couldn't play through a song. They could if there were the notes in front of them and all that stuff, but even then it was kind of shaky. And what they really wanted was to actually just be able to strum guitar, to have that sense of rhythm and to be able to play a song and for it to actually sound like the song. So my goal at that point was to impart a sense of rhythm onto this person, which is something that I'd never really done before. I've done that countless times since, but at this point, in my own learning of guitar, I never really had an issue with rhythm. So I had to figure out how to give somebody a sense of rhythm from scratch. And to add on to that, they didn't even believe me that it was necessary. They thought it had to do with them playing the chords slowly and all these other things. One of the things that we did, that I do with my students now whenever they say they have problems with rhythm, is we clapped along with a song. And this student was unable to clap along with a song and find the beat, which was something that up until that point I'd never really considered. I just assumed everybody could kind of do that. I knew that they just had to work on their rhythm. That's what needed to happen. So I had a couple barriers, me having no clue what the early steps of learning rhythm were like, and also having to convince them that this was important, that it was at the crux of what would make them better at guitar. If I have a student, I'm not just gonna sit by and pretend that they're getting better. I'm actually gonna make sure they get better. I don't just wanna humor them and be like, oh, that was really good. I'm gonna make sure they're actually good so that they can look themselves in the mirror and believe that they're good. So I had to kind of backtrack in my head and think where did I start? Where was I when I started guitar? Where was my rhythm? And how could I backtrack further from there? I realized as I broke it down that my sense of rhythm comes from outside guitar. So in order for my student to start getting a sense of rhythm, we just had to get rid of the guitar. We had to focus on that internal sense of rhythm. The first place I looked was early childhood music education. There are various methods like the Kodai-Orff method and all these different methods. And I looked what do people do with 3 and 4-year-old kids to get them started on this stuff? And then I just kind of adapted it to make it less goofy, less nursery rhyme, and make it seem like a serious thing. And the other place I looked was at the university level music training. How do they improve your rhythm when you're going to music school? What sort of ear training and rhythm exercises do you do? And I took that kid stuff and I put it in the context of the university level stuff so that there's some sense of progression and, a way to kind of track where you're at and how to troubleshoot it all. And then I took that plan and we put it to the test. We went through it. I took my student through this whole thing, and some of the stuff worked, but not everything did. It wasn't like a silver bullet that would just instantly fix everything. We were kind of getting better at the exercises, but nothing was really changing. They still felt like they were really bad at rhythm. So I took all that stuff, all these exercises, and rather than presenting them like a step 1, 2, 3, 4 thing, I kind of incorporated them into other stuff we were working on. Things that my student was good at. They were really good with some of their chord switches and stuff like that. So I played to their strengths, gave them some confidence that way. And then we would incorporate these rhythm things in with a little bit of what they're already doing. And one day they were just super distraught, because even though they were seeing a little bit of success, it just wasn't working out like they thought it was. And I said, you know what, let's try clapping along to a song. That was something that we had tried their first lesson and they weren't able to do it. And when we tried clapping along to the song, it was absolutely no problem for them. They were able to do it. They were able to count where beat 1 was. All these things that they weren't able to do before, they were now able to do. And that's when I proved to that student that they were getting better. Just because they still were having some trouble putting together the whole thing, they were making progress. And now today, we're working on advanced 16th note strumming patterns with embellishments and all this stuff. We're getting better at some percussive guitar techniques. She can look up songs online and just play and figure out a strumming pattern for them. All those things that were a problem for her, she's actually really strong at now. And now we're finding new things to work on. And the whole point of my story is just to get across that a lot of the time it might not feel like you're getting anywhere. And when we have really specific goals, it's like an on-off switch. It's like, are you at your goal yet? Yes or no? No, I'm not there. And then you feel bad about yourself. But I want you to sort of see things the way that I've learned to see things, that I've helped my student learn to see things, and that those big goals that we have are actually a bunch of tiny little goals. Things that bit by bit we can incorporate into our playing until eventually we take them for granted.